there, busy kids. Welcome to our fifth lesson, a final lesson of this module. Today we're going to be talking about rests. And rests can be a little bit confusing because we're not going to play or sing anything, but we still have to count them. So let me explain what I mean as we go along here. First, I want to show you what one of our rests looks like. This is our quarter rest, or our ta rest. It's kind of a zigzag. If you look at it, it's like a Z and then a little C at the end. So if this is our quarter rest or our ta rest, how many beats do you think it gets? If you said 1, then you're right. Just like the quarter note or the ta note, this quarter rest gets 1 beat of silence. And you can either go like this, rest, or you can count 1. And I like to whisper it because we don't want to hear anything on our rest, right? So instead of clapping, I'm holding out my hands and counting rest. Let's try clapping some quarter rests together. Ready? Rest, 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 rest. Good. Did you feel a little silly doing that? All right. Our next rest matches up with our half note. And it is a half rest. And it looks like a hat. So I always remember that it goes with the half note because hat and half. So if it matches up with our half note, if this is half note's rest, how many beats does it get? If you said 2, then you're right. We count 1, 2. But we would say rest, rest. Or you can say 1, 2 when you have this rest in music. So it would look like this, rest. Or 1, 2. Again, I'm not clapping, I'm just holding out my hands. All right, now this one is called our whole measure rest. And you'll see this whenever you don't need to play any music for a whole measure. So in 4/4 time, that means it's going to get 4 beats of rest. So we would count okay? So that's how we do our rests, and they'll make a little more sense when you see them in our music. Let's take a look at our first piece of music called Resting. I want to go over some things with you. Let's take a closer look at your first piece of music, Resting. You'll notice I said circle all the half rests in the instruction. So let me help you with that a little bit. Do you see the half rest in measure run? Remember, a half rest looks like a hat. Very good. It's this one right here. This is our first half rest. What kind of a rest is this one here? This one is a whole rest. It kind of looks like a half rest, but you'll notice it hangs upside down from that line 4 there. And almost like you could crawl into it, crawl into the whole. So that's how I remember it's a whole measure rest there, because you could crawl down into the hole. But this one looks like a hat sitting on top of line 3. So that's how we know it's a half rest. Can you find the half rest in measure number 2? Good, it's this one right here. Can you find the whole measure rest? Very good. Here's our whole measure rest right here. What about in measure number 3? Good, right here. What about in measure number 4? Right here. So did you notice that we have a pattern? It's half note, half rest, half note, half rest. And that rhythm repeats itself for both lines here. These are all half note, half rest. So let's try clapping that while I'll point. Remember, you'll clap half note and then whisper rest, rest. So I'll say the words with you and point, but I'd like you to clap along. Ready? Go. Half note, rest, rest. Half note, rest, rest. Half note, rest, rest. Half note, rest, rest. So let's find middle C position first. Remember, if this is middle C, my finger 1s, my thumbs, are going to share middle C, and then the other fingers just fall into place. So let's go ahead and try line 1. You're going to play those 2 notes at the same time. So C and D together. 1, 2, rest, rest, and then C and E together. 1, 2, rest, rest. C and F together. 1, 2, rest, rest. C and G together. 1, 2, rest, rest. Now, of all the notes I played, every single time I played the same note with one of my fingers. What note was that? If you said middle C, then you're right. I always play middle C, and then I just moved my fingers up, and each time I played the middle C, added a different note to it. Let's go ahead and try that. Line 1 all together. Ready? 1, 2, rest, rest. 1, 2, rest, rest. 1, 2, rest, rest. 1, 2, rest, rest. Good. Now for the second line, same idea, but I'm going to use my left hand, and I'm always going to play middle C, and then work my way down to each finger. Let's go ahead and try that whole line together and see how you do. Ready? Go. 1, 2, rest, rest. 1, 2, rest, rest. 1, 2, rest, rest. 1, 2, rest, rest. Very nice. You just learned the whole piece. I'm going to play the whole thing one final time. If you feel ready to try it with me, you can go ahead. Otherwise, you can just listen so you know how yours will sound after you've had a chance to practice it. 1, 2, ready, go. All right, let's take a look at our next piece of music. Eine Kleine Nachtmusik, a little night music. That's what that means in German. All right, let's take a look at our next piece of music, Eine Kleine Nachtmusik. This means a little night music in German, and it's by a famous composer, Mozart, who you'll learn more about if you haven't done the worksheet yet in one of our bonus modules. You can learn more about Mozart in our bonus module. So I want to start by first looking at the rhythm of this piece. We have a dotted half note that starts us off here. See the half note and the dot next to it? How many beats does a dotted half note get? If you said 3, then you're right. So this is 1, 2, 3. Where's my beat 4? Because I have 4 beats in every measure. My beat 4 is with this note right here. Can you find the quarter rests in that measure? They're these little zigzag rests right here. So here's a quarter rest, and here's a quarter rest. All right, let's take a look at the next measure. How many beats does this dotted half note get? Very good, 3 beats. 1, 2, 3, and then this one gets beat 4. Now here, I'm going to start with beat 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we're back to a dotted half note, which gets 3 beats. And then where do you see beat 4? Beat 4 is my quarter rest right here. So I have to make sure that I lift up on this note and have a beat of rest before I start on my next measure. Let's just try clapping this rhythm. I'll point to the notes and count, and you can clap them and count out loud along with me. 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we had a rest there. Let's try that one more time. Ready? Go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, rest. Very nice. Now I want us to try just drumming this a little bit. So we get used to moving back and forth between the right hand and left hand. So if your treble clef is playing the note, I want you to tap with your right hand. If your bass clef is playing the note, I want you to tap the note with your left hand. And if no hands are playing the note, for example on this rest right here, I want you to lift both hands up. Now you can do this just by drumming on the lid of your piano keyboard, on the piano bench, or you can use a big gathering drum if you'd like. All right, so we're going to start right here. We'll be drumming with our right hand. 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, rest. Good, let's do that much one more time. Ready? 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, rest. Very nice. Let's take a look at it on our keys now. So for this piece, again, I'll be in middle C position. And let's just work on the first line, just like we were working out when we were taking a closer look. I'm going to play middle C with finger 1 in the right hand. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, rest. So did you notice how I kept my staccatos really light and crispy? I'm going to play it for you one more time, and then I want you to try it. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, rest. Now you try. Very nice. I'm going to play the second line for you now. You can follow along and count if you'd like. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, off. Let me show it to you one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, rest. Now you try. Very nice. If you need a little bit more practice, that's okay. You have all the time that you need. I'm going to play the whole thing for you now. Once you have it learned, I want you to check and make sure that it sounds like the recording that you're hearing now. So here's Eine Kleine Nachtmusik.